Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. One second though, let me quick show you this. New intro. Tried to make it a little bit shorter. I think it's good. It shows you some of the companies that I work with, just like a little flash. I just didn't want it to take too long. I make a lot of cinematic intros for certain products to show them off, that sort of thing. So felt like my intro was just a little bit too long. But anyway, that's the new intro. Speaking of cinematic intros, the 4Runner just got a facelift. Not quite a facelift, but it's pretty sweet. Cue the montage. So it's winter here in Minnesota. It's kind of cold out here in the garage, so if I ever am shivering a little, that is why. But just got these headlights installed. I think they look absolutely killer. And I'm gonna walk you through how to do it, kind of show you some of the features of these headlights, and we'll talk a little bit more about them, compare them a little bit to the GTR headlights. These Alpharex headlights are a little more expensive than the GTR headlights. I don't think they're really that comparable. A better comparison would probably be the Morimoto XB headlights, but I don't have any of those to compare, so we're not gonna really talk about that. If you like what I'm doing with the channel, or you just like this sort of content, you have a 4Runner, maybe you don't even have a 4Runner, but you like some of the builds and DIY stuff I do, consider subscribing. Helps me out, helps me be able to make more content like this. So I appreciate all the support from all of you that already subscribe. And let's jump into an unboxing, and then we'll do a little install, and I'll show you some on-road driving clips as well. So let's jump right into it. All right, this makes it pretty convenient for me here, but basically each light comes in one box. And so there's two boxes in the total box. And we've got right here the Nova series. You can see it's checked. Otherwise the Deluxe series, Pro series. This is their G2 or Gen 2 version. And as you can see right here, flip it around, Nova cutout, Alpharex 2014 to 2022, Alpharex unrivaled lighting. So another thing too is if you have a 2020 to 2022 4Runner, you're going to need a little adapter for the harness, but that's not too big a deal. All right, let's cut this open here. Also, little thing I found, this little Husky knife just takes normal razor blades. You can buy big packs of razor blades, and it's only $5 at Home Depot for the handle. I thought that was a pretty good deal. Okay, let's get this open. Sorry it's so zoomed in. Once I get the headlight out of the box, we'll kind of look at it better. All right, so I got the Alpha Black version. Right here is the DRL harness, so we'll just set that aside. But the Alpha Black version is basically everything is blacked out except for the lens itself. So from my understanding, the lens is still clear, but everything else is as blacked out as it can be, which, if you know my truck, you know that's the look I go for. So I'm pretty stoked for these. I think they're gonna look really, really good. The GTR headlights are for the most part blacked out, and they sent me the clear lens option, so that helped. But there's these little like silver outlines on the headlight itself that was just kind of a bummer. This doesn't have that, it's all completely blacked out. So here you can see like there's a little outline around these lights, and those are black as well. Would love to see this orange side marker like smoked or blacked out as well, but beggars can't be choosers. This is already the best blacked out headlight, you know, I think, on the market. I guess Morimoto does make the XBs, but I think the XBs have a tinted lens, which I've never heard of anyone having problems with, but that's one thing I like about the Alpharex one. So if you see like down the front, the lens is clear, but everything else is blacked out. So it gives the same look, but I feel like a cop's never gonna give you any problems with this headlight. Yeah, if you're a Morimoto XB owner, comment down below if you've ever been bothered by law enforcement for having that tinted lens. So anyways, we got to grab the instructions on this thing, but as far as I know, we got to reach in here and dig around a little bit. The awesome thing about these headlights is they have a DRL that you can switch back and forth between white and amber. So here we go, found it right here. That was quick. See these two little plugs, and they've got gray heat shrink on them. I'll zoom in here for you. See those? So those are for the amber DRL, if I understand correctly. If they're unplugged, it's white, and if they're plugged together, it's amber. So let's go ahead and plug these in to each other. Pull the heat shrink down a little bit so that it's not putting so much strain on the two little plugs. I don't want to pull the wires out of their little harnesses. There we go. You heard the little click. All right, now it's plugged in, and this light is basically good to go. We can put the covers back on like so. Make sure none of these wires are in the way, which I think we should be good. Maybe these plugs aren't identical, so I'll just, yeah, it seems like the plugs themselves are not the same exact size, so might have to play around a little bit with it, but there we go. Okay, so we got everything plugged in now. The other thing we need to do is we need to pull the old headlight off and put on the front bumper clip that goes right here. It's just 3 bolts, super easy. You put them in from the back side. We're gonna go pull that headlight off of the vehicle and then swap it on to these headlights. Okay, so you can see that these have basically the exact same mounting brackets. So we got these here, this one down here. If we rotate this back, we've got all 3 of those same mounting spots. So we'll set that aside. What we're gonna do is grab the bracket that bolts right into here from this headlight. You can see it right down here. These 3 screws are what we gotta take out, and then we're good to go. So you could use a power drill or just a screwdriver. I prefer screwdriver because I think that plastic is pretty sensitive to like over torquing, and so this way I just know I'm not gonna ruin anything. So got that pulled off of this light. Drop that out, and we will mount this up to this light. So each of these should line up like so. And then we just put in the screws. There we go. There's a couple little plastic teeth, so just make sure everything lines up nicely. And you should be good to go. It's nice that my plastic is kind of dirty here too, because that just helps to show where the division is between my stock part on my car and the Alpharex headlight. Okay, so there you can see 3 screws are in. There's that little black piece sticking through there. There's one back there, one right there. That lines everything up nice and good. Now this light is ready to put on the vehicle. Now, I think we just need to look at this one more time here. This is the DRL harness. I just want to show you the different components of it. It's pretty simple. You may completely ignore it if you have a Switch Pros like me. But what we have here is we have two connectors for DRL on the actual headlight on this side. That's what these two things are for. This will connect to this brown wire. This is for the DRL. And then one is a little bit shorter than the other. So I've got two of them, one for each headlight. And then on this side, we've got power. So the black and the red goes to the battery. And then we've got a little add a fuse right here, which this goes to your fuse box. And then this, I'm not sure what this does. It almost seems like it might be a switch, like if you wanted to add a switch for the DRL, or maybe this is part of the harness for the 2020 to 2022. I'm not sure. I will keep you posted on that when we do this install, but otherwise the rest of this is pretty straightforward. I'm gonna take this out, we're gonna put this one on the rig, and then I'm gonna compare it to my GTR headlights so you guys can kind of get an idea for the ambers, if they look the same, different, that sort of thing. So let's jump out there, toss this on the truck. Okay, so we've got the headlights here. So, all right, so as you can see, there's the white DRL. There's the two pods of the three turned on. And then that's like the sequential. If I'm locking the door, the DRL comes back. And the DRL is on when you've got the low beams on. Now, when we come over here, this is the new Nova headlight. Now you can tell that the whole housing is blacked out. It's a pretty stealth looking headlight. We've got the whole DRL here is amber, top and bottom. And then now they've got all four projectors. I think that's what these are, they're projectors, but all four of these pods are low beam. If we lock the truck again, see that it still blinks yellow for the turn signal. And then if we go to the side here, it's got the orange marker. So here is the orange from the light. If we turn on the DRLs of the truck, you can see here, I've got the white balance set, so hopefully it won't like change temperature here. So the yellow or amber matches the backlight almost perfectly to the SSC ones. And then there's our orange DRL. I think it's gonna match really well. So I'll show some more tests tonight. As far as install, it's the same as the past two headlights I've installed. Basically, this bolt right here, this bolt right here, and there's a bolt right down here. This is a clip, and then there's one more bolt on this side. All I did was remove the couple wheel well bolts, unhooked the fog light, and then pulled off the TRD Pro upper valence. And yeah, that gives you all the access you need to do the headlights. So then I don't have to pull my bumper valence or whatever off of the C4 bumper. And if you're ever wondering how my SSC ones are mounted up here, it's just this little piece of aluminum across here with these two bolts through some factory holes that hold these lights. So not too complicated. I think it looks pretty killer. All right, so we're just looking at this harness again, right? And it's got a converter of power from the battery. And then this is for triggering so that it runs power to the actual DRLs. Well, what I basically did is I'm running this straight to my Switch Pros because the Switch Pros does all that for me already. So I got rid of all this. I already have a trigger. I already have one of these gray wires basically for my Switch Pros, and there's already power ran to my Switch Pros. So now all I need is these two red wires going to the lights. So set that aside. I just cut them. I made a connection with this wire here, and then I'm gonna hook this to my Switch Pros. So that's what we're gonna do. This wire should probably have some more jacketing. It's got thick-ish insulation, but essentially this is all going to sit probably right under my Switch Pros, so I'm not too worried about it rubbing on any metal or sharp surfaces. And this stuff has jacketing. Granted, it's not very nice jacketing. At least it's, you know, semi-protected. So, all right, well, these are going to connect to the DRLs, these little teeny silver things. And our lights are ready. So what I'm doing is I'm getting this ready so I can connect one of the DRLs on the Alpharex lights and one of the DRLs on the GTR lights, and then we can compare them for color, things of that nature. So this is all good to go. I'm gonna go hook this up to my Switch Pros. All right, so I have the GTR headlight on the one side, and then I have my Alpharex one on this side. And just want to give you a little snapshot here. The DRLs seem to be about the same color for amber. So I'll show you the startup sequence on this. So that's with it turned on. If we stand back here a little bit. So the check mark matches these DRLs in the pods, and then the ditch lights. This is a little more orange than yellow, but I will say it's a pretty dang good match, which is exactly what I wanted. I think some DRLs are a little bit more on the yellow side, but these match almost perfect. I took a total risk doing this. I didn't know that it was going to match perfectly. And again, like I was saying, this only uses 2 of the 3 of the projectors or the pods, whereas over here the low beam and the high beam utilizes all projectors, so it knows how to switch between them, which is just a pretty sweet feature. So all right, let's throw the other headlight in, and then I'll compare the white DRL to the amber DRL, and you can see both. So for those that are kind of picky about the shape of your output, you can kind of tell here the left side is quite a bit brighter. It's maybe kind of hard to tell, but that has a pretty focused higher lumen beam coming out of it than this side. This throws a little wider. They're also not probably aimed correctly because I unbolted both of them. Just kind of wanted to show a side by side here. So also this one, I think the cutoff is stronger than on the GTR, but they're also very different price points, so kind of apples to oranges, but at least it gives you a baseline. So I know what you're thinking. You just got the GTR headlights, Zach, so why are you switching to these headlights? And the big reason, I guess, is for the novelty. I really wanted amber DRLs, and the Morimoto XB headlights are ran by so many people with the amber DRLs, so I just knew that that probably wasn't going to be a great fit. And I also was really interested in trying out these new headlights because all 4 of the projectors are on for the low beams. So it sounded like they were a really good headlight, and so I really wanted to test them out and make a video for you all, and just create some unique content. So not a lot of people have these, so you'll get to see some new content and photos from me using these on the 4Runner. All right, well, that's gonna wrap up the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what I'm doing with the channel, again, please consider subscribing. I've got some pretty cool content coming. I've also got some new DIY sort of stuff coming that I think is really cool. Gonna be working with some cool companies on that. And I think you're all going to really like it. It's a different approach from what most people do, and I think it's going to meet a lot of needs and hopefully not be too expensive. So that's on the horizon. Be on the watch for that. And yeah, with that being said, go check out these headlights from Alpharex. I'm going to have them linked down below. I really appreciate Alpharex working with me on this content, and I will catch you all in the next video.